This is Alt, and I traveled 5,000 miles to buy this Tudor. Today we're going to be talking about my most recent acquisition, the Tudor Prince Day-Date. Now, this is a watch only available in the Asian market. In this case, I actually acquired it while on my 12-year wedding anniversary in Italy. I'd actually been eyeing this watch on Chrono24 for a little bit of time before actually picking it up. It was a watch that fit certain criteria I was looking for. I wanted a 36 millimeter watch. I did want a two-tone watch. And I wanted a watch that would be a little bit more affordable to service than the other luxury watches that I picked up in 2019. And in this particular case, the Tudor Prince Day-Date 76213 is a traditional Tudor, meaning it is a Rolex Oyster case with an ETA movement. Now, all the branding on it obviously is Tudor. It's been quite a long time since we've seen Tudor watches ship with Rolex insignias or markings on the actual cases. But this is a traditional 36 millimeter Oyster case, all Tudor markings, but in a two-tone configuration. More specifically, it is a two-tone with a fluted yellow gold bezel and a center link on the fusion style bracelet, and I do refer to it as a fusion because it does resemble aspects of the Jubilee plus aspects of the Oyster bracelet rolled into one. It is a 5-link bracelet. The outer flanking links are satin, and the inner ones, two innermost flanking links, are polished, and then the center one is gold. And this is not rolled gold like some of the other watches in Tudor lineup that we can typically get today. This is true gold, but it is hollow center links and a hollow end link. Now, I know some people do take some issue with the hollow end links and hollow links. They tend to believe it demarcates a lower quality product. That's not my view at all. The watch fits perfectly fine. It doesn't have any unusual rattle or feeling of cheapness. It feels like a perfectly solid watch, in my opinion. Some may have a differing opinion, but that's just my opinion. Now, in full disclosure, I did actually sell my Rolex Datejust. It was a watch that I really liked and appreciated. It was my first Rolex, but I wasn't entirely too happy with it. There were elements of it that I was displeased with, and so I wanted to replace it with a Tudor for this particular role. Now, I have other Rolexes that I do want to acquire in the near future. It's just the 36 millimeter one was not something I chose to keep. Now, to talk about this watch in more intricate details, as I mentioned, it does feature a 36 millimeter case with a date window located at the 12 o'clock position, a date located at the 3 o'clock position, and that date does feature a magnifier like typical Rolex watches, so it does deviate from modern Rolex Tudors, which just have that feature omitted. It does have very distinct Loom. It's just these little dot pips located at every hour marker. It's nothing that's going to be too impressive compared to the Rolex I had, but it does give you some level of Loom, but it does fade quickly. It does feature a friction-based clasp. It doesn't have any type of locking mechanism like modern Rolex watches or even Tudor watches. It's more of a throwback to Rolex watches from about 15-20 years ago. The case itself has a very thin profile. It does have drilled lug holes, so you can swap out the bracelet for a strap if you feel so inclined. I personally prefer bracelets, but you can do that, and it does give it more of a tool feel, unlike some more modern Rolexes, which are deviating in the territory of being jewelry. This very much is a more of a classic Rolex Tudor than the modern offerings from either company. Now, you do have a gold crown on the side here. It's relatively easy to adjust. If you're familiar with ETA movements that feature a date complication, this is largely no different. But one of the things really worth mentioning about having a ETA movement is this watch will be incredibly easy to service at any local dealer, or maybe perhaps even a local independent watchmaker, but it shouldn't cost you an arm and a leg, much like some modern Rolexes and Tudors, or even Tudors are getting really expensive to service. The one I opted for was a gold linen dial. Part of the influence of this watch was the American Psycho Patrick Bateman Rolex that was in the film. I wanted something with that type of look without fully committing to a copy of that exact watch. Now, in terms of wrist presence, I know some people tend to have concerns about the 36 millimeter, and I'll tell you this, I had no concerns about 36 millimeter cases with the Rolex, and I really don't have any concerns about it with the Tudor either. If you take a look at it here, this is my 7 1/3 size wrist, and it looks really sizable. I mean, you can see next to my torso, it doesn't look undersized. It does have a little bit of a bling factor, and after I actually acquired this watch in Naples, Italy, I did get some looks riding on the train back to Rome. Mind you, it was in the middle of the night, so I imagine having someone with a two-tone gold watch on a train at midnight is something that would typically catch someone's eye. Now, the story with this particular watch, as I'd mentioned in an earlier segment, is I first noticed it on Chrono 24. And you have to be very careful when buying any watch off any online source. Now, I wanted to take a look at it firsthand, knowing that this watch is traditionally intended for the Asian market. So having one turn up in Naples, Italy is a little bit concerning for me. I did pick up this watch at Silvestri Diamonds and Watches, and kudos to those guys. They were actually really friendly, approachable. They were more than happy to let me take video in their place of business, which many luxury watch dealers will not let you do, but they were very accommodating in that regard. I didn't take a ton of video because I didn't want to be obnoxious, but I'll share some of it with you during this overview of the watch. Overall, I consider it a quality timepiece. It's kept great time thus far. I haven't had any instances of it losing time or gaining time. I've owned the watch since November of 2019, so I've had it almost 2 months now, and all in all, I'm very satisfied with the purchase. I don't really miss my Rolex 36 millimeter Datejust at all. I'm actually really much happier with the Tudor, but the intention is I will be replacing that Rolex with another Rolex at some point in 2020 based upon availability and pricing. Obviously, Rolexes can be a little bit tough to get right now, and I'll make a video dealing with that particular topic in the near future. But this is my newest acquisition, the Tudor 76213 Prince Day-Date quality watch. If you ever get a chance to take a look at one, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised with, for one, how good retro Rolex design cues actually were, even in a modern world, but overall, it being a solid, affordable timepiece from Tudor. And really, one of the nice things is if you do want to go Tudor and you want to stay away from gold plating or rolled gold, the 76213 is a really great option because you do get that real gold that won't really wear off over time like some of the other types of plated watches. And the rolled gold ones are perfectly okay, but in my view, it's a bit of a step down when you could actually be getting a proper two-tone gold watch. So this is a good watch. This is all. Thank you for watching.